Morning. It's February 28th, 2022, 9:23 Eastern Standard Time, and this is Crypto and Coffee with the Trading Bros. I'm your host, Clutch Crypto. Let's jump right into the charts. We're seeing a nice little pump in the pre-New York market open this morning. So let's get to the charts and see what else we can find out.
Clutch, as you mentioned, we are getting kind of a bounce here at the open, which is not surprising, given the fact that a lot of times at the open, the institutions, the market makers, whatever you want to call them, try to trap traders. So definitely the sentiments to the downside, but they're not going to let shorts make money easily, and so they're working on popping that leverage and really making people doubt whether or not truly the market's going towards the downside. So we've got this is the 1 hour on Bitcoin, on USDT. We've been ranging, right? We've been kind of ranging in this area for for the last couple of weeks, especially since the rush. We've had kind of this V shape draw down, come back up to test this particular area. What I keep reminding myself, as we see these pumps, is that this is a major area of imbalance here in the chart. And so normally probability says that we're going to come down and revisit these particular areas. And then if you look on some of the higher time frames, we're looking at a similar situation in which we're looking to complete this wick here, right? And I say complete to remove this imbalance, and even may have the opportunity to get down here in the 30,000s. If things get really shaken up. So all this bounce to the upside is great. I don't think there's enough economic strength at this point in time in order to promote it. There's a lot of good news about crypto today, which always makes me wary of what's going on. If we hop down into ETH, the exact same situation. I anticipate that ETH, again, we get down to these levels, at least on the daily, get down and touch the 800. We haven't done that in a long while, or never, actually. And so, I think we test this area, solidify a very large pattern on this side before we move up to the top side. So
What's kind of scary looking at that? That kind of looks like your little setup that you like to play off of the EMAs kind of forming on the daily, right?
yeah. So I mean, if this turns out like it does on lower
Dude,
time,
that's gonna be gut wrenching, bro.
that's going to be a gut wrenching. But the good thing is normally what happens is that you kind of get down to this, and it's a wick down to these areas before then you find a pretty significant turnaround. And so that's what I anticipate, is that we'll wick down into these areas, but we'll see a pretty quick turnaround from those areas, as I'm sure, and I'm sure Bookmap will tell us as well, there's a lot of orders and interest around that 1900 area. And so when we get down there, I think the buying is going to be tremendous. If we look on shorter time frames, again, on the shorter time frame, I anticipate, and I know you kind of are in agreement as well, they're going to try to shake out the shorts because the shorts are heavy. I'm just going to assume that, just because of all the negative news. And so you get these quick moves to the upside in the early hours of New York. And again, I think that's trappy, right? I think that's very trappy for longs. I think it's trying to pull out bust leverage liquidations for shorts. So if we hop over, I kind of already pulled up this chart, but this is on the Ethereum, Binance, 1 hour, along with the spot, and we've had W on CVD, right? We've had a decrease in spot buying. It's been pretty much in line, except now we've got spot buying. We've got some of a negative relative to open interest, which would indicate that we're probably going through some liquidations at this point in time. because you can tell, you see here spot kind of spikes up in order to take those folks out and induce folks to go long, and that's kind of continued along those routes. Funding rate for Ethereum. And so remember, we looked at this last night, all the funding rates were pretty much negative. So we've got funding rates starting to turn positive, even with FTX, which is very surprising because they're a driver of a lot of the spot. So this may indicate that, spot may continue to move up from that end. But it also could indicate that they're moving down because a lot of times FTX uses their perpetual market to hedge what they're doing in the spot market. And therefore, I always pay attention to FTX, and I think we learn more as we look.
So this is split up in two right here, and you can see USDT to the left side, and then the coin margin on the right side for the same exchanges. So
Right.
that's just basically talking about or stating, USD margin versus coin margin. So, if you're talking about, the spot like you're talking about earlier, you'd want to see more direction based on the coin side than the USD side, and you see spot increasing, like on FTX and whatnot. Is that right?
Yeah, most of the time when you have USDT margin or dollar margin, that's for a lot of times people use that to hedge, because on the coin margin, of course, you have the coin, and that's 70% of that perpetual contract is the coin. And so when you're hedging to the downside, you normally do that in USDT so that your collateral doesn't decline as the price declines. So when you have a lot of, especially when you're talking about FTX, again, I see them as hedging with their perp market. They really are not significant even on the coin margin. That's why I say they probably use it primarily. I mean, I know this for sure. This is just an assumption. And so, FTX is almost always trend. Their USDT margin contracts are trending away from what a lot of the other exchanges are doing. So I just kind of, just something to keep in mind. Binance, of course, being the biggest perp market. You've got Binance kind of leaning towards the negative. Predicted market, predicted kind of coming positive. And these change throughout the day as well. So these aren't like set in stone for the entire amount. They will change, kind of as folks reposition. We've got a lot of news coming out this week. Let's take a look at Bookmap and kind of see where we're at from a short-term perspective, and kind of look at where the supports and resistance are from a
Binance chart. We're going to reload this real quick, take a look at it. We were kind of in the middle a while ago. We're still hanging out right here in this area, but we are filling orders up. And you see all these red guys right here, which is an indication that they're probably going to try to keep pushing it up until we start getting some green guys to show up. The green guys are going to be longs, and they're going to work on trapping those. As like I said, we have a lot of red ones here, so these short liquidations are popping up here in the 2680, 2690. This has also lagged a little bit. I think we just kind of ran up into those areas just a few minutes ago. Actually, I need to confirm that, but it looks like we were working on getting over there into that range. Sliding over here to Bitcoin real quick and check Bitcoin out. We're probably going to be in the same boat, more than likely. Almost exactly right. So as you can see, we still have some liquidations up here that they're probably still trying to grab. The 50 to 100x liquidations are still going to be up here in the mid 39k range. And then they do have a really nice one that I'm going to be really surprised if they leave out on the table. Will be this guy right here, right about 40,500. So pay attention to that area. We'll check it out here in Bookmap here in just a second. So let's slide over to Bookmap, see what the orders look like. Kind of move things around. We're on the E chart right now. As you can see, order-wise, we're still heavy to the downside. We did just get one of our little green squares here. That also kind of helps as a possible turnaround in the direction, but sometimes they do come in early. As you can see, we have some very high resistance area of over 2,300 orders right here at 2,770. So that's a really important area to pay attention to. And then of course up here at 2,800, we have about almost 1,500 orders that are waiting to get filled in that area. And then 2,850, we're seeing another area of congestion with about 2,000 orders. So, you know, I don't see us having a problem getting up to the the 2,850 area, but after that we might just be running out of gas. And definitely, I think by the time we get up to 2,900, because we have 2,500 orders here, it's just a matter of how many orders they want to go and fill and take to the downside. I wouldn't be surprised if these are big institutional orders ready for that short, like we were talking about. But again, they want to go up and they want to get these people trapped. So as far as the downside looks, we have 2,500 right here. That's a nice heavy area. Earlier, 2,400, we had another nice area, 2,300, I believe. Yeah, right here. 2,800 orders at 2,300. I'm currently in a short right now, and that's my TP. So hopefully that will play out. We'll see how that works out. Sliding over to the Bitcoin chart. Again, we're slightly heavier to the downside right now, but as far as orders go in the heavy area, places to look, 4,100 is kind of going to be that very peak range, and that's if we get up to it today.
I think once we get through this pump scenario, and the pump could last. I mean, they could push it up to 2,850. I'm talking about ETH, of course. 2,850. Yeah, they can push it up to 2,850, bring it down to 2,750, 2,700, keep us in this range, right, for the next couple weeks. But, we know what happens in March, right? March tends to, we've seen some crashes in March, some blood in the streets in March. And we've experienced that firsthand. Before all this news and they were trying to get the shorts on board, they were dropping in order to get them trapped. Now those shorts remain committed, are pretty stubborn, and so now they're just going to try to pop them, because they know that they have to. Well, they don't know, but they need to get lower. I think to fill some of those orders, some of that this is a lot of institutional play of trying to get these orders in as low as possible, so they can cash out on the next run. Here in the first quarter. So I think all of that is, but for me, I think you gotta have to be vigilant in the fact that understand where we're at in the cycle. That I think there's more to the downside before they consider moving back up, and that's just a function of the business cycle and kind of the institutions that are playing the market. And the fact of the matter is, we're still in a war. We're still in a war. They're still talking about nuclear. There's still sanctions on banks. There's still rising energy prices. I mean, nothing's changed. The fact that it's pumping just tells me even more that this is trappy mentality.
Right. Yeah. So this is going to be a really interesting week. As far as price direction goes, I think definitely the trap's getting built, and we're going to see what we normally see in March, which is it's not really pretty, especially for the holders. Hold out and try to get some good price actions down, towards the bottom, because I don't think we've seen the bottom yet for this what you even call it, bear market. So we'll see what happens this week.
Alrighty, well that's all I got. Looking at the market here, we're kind of recovering. Our futures market was down considerably. Nasdaq's down about 0.89%, 125 points. S&P's down 1.1%, Dow's down 1.32%. So overall, market's down, but they have recovered from the futures, which showed the market to be down by about 300 points. So this is a bit of a pump for Bitcoin and Ethereum, but the traditional markets are still underwater a little bit. but they're recovering some. So I would imagine that the market starts to reverse, and then Bitcoin and Ethereum will follow. If they don't, right? If they don't, let's call it decoupling. Let's call it, a reverse correlation with the market. That actually be a good thing for crypto, and if that held to be true, um, for all the guys, most guys are long in these situations. Myself also have a long-term portfolio. That would be good for us as well. But from a shorter time frame,
Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to the points of interest that we talked about in the book map. See how that plays off, whether they break through it or rebound off of it. So pay close attention to those, and the Trading Bros will see you tomorrow, same time, 8:15 Central Standard Time, 9:15 East Coast time. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Crypto Clutch out.